I put 200 Minecraft players on a massive map with 13 different islands to see what would happen if they were left all alone to survive. As all the players were released into the world, they began spreading out and coming up with plans to explore the map. The grace period would only last for 1 hour, so they wanted to get gear as fast as possible. Most players rushed towards the trees at the corner of the spawn island, doing their best to collect resources before they were all gone.
No, I needed that
Let me see if I can
wood,
like take somebody.
The later stages of the event would contain things like hunger, rebellions, and even natural disasters, so the players needed to advance quickly. As the hunt for resources continued, some players fled the island in hopes of finding better areas to group up and build a team.
I'm going off to the grass island over there. Where you want to head?
I actually don't know.
Some players took a different approach, making pickaxes and mining for better gear at the start of the event.
Yeah, some people have pickaxes from the start island.
If you cobblestone,
okay,
I can make one.
Others continued their search for land, swimming away from the main island in search of larger, better islands. After swimming away from the main island, a few players were beginning to come across new islands out in the middle of the ocean.
Yo, go, quick!
Some explorers had come across a beach island out in the ocean and began searching the new island for resources and any other secrets it might contain. Other players had come across even stranger islands, with one player finding a ruined nether island which contained some resources crucial for creating potions and other useful items. As more and more players began exploring the world, groups of players were beginning to come together. In the corner of the map, a team was beginning to form. These players called themselves the Goodmen, and even had a special uniform to distinguish themselves from other players. Though these players seemed to be the most powerful on the server, they planned on remaining peaceful unless provoked by another team.
No, we're not attacking yet, not until Eris wants us to.
On another island, a less serious group was forming. These players were sporting Among Us skins, and they called themselves Chad Mogistan, or Team Chad for short. These players had set up a small farm to grow wheat, but apart from that, they weren't really getting anything done. Back at the beach island, some players had come together to form a team. Consisting of mostly peaceful players and builders, these players named their team Magnolia and promised to create a small but peaceful civilization later on in the event. Some players from Magnolia had split up to explore the map, and they ended up finding one of the most useful islands in the event, the Jungle Island. Trees are fairly rare in this event, so this discovery would be useful later on. Not all the players in the event were peaceful though, and one group of players met up immediately after the event and started to get gear faster than the other teams. This team is called the Scythers, and they are known for being extremely violent in events like these, and they always try to be the last players standing in the event. The Scythers met up and swam to the bottom right corner of the map, finding a desert island with a dangerous looking desert temple located right on top of it. They decided to make the desert temple their home, deciding that they would wait to launch their attack on the other teams. Now that groups of players were beginning to come together to form teams, it was time for the leader election phase to start. Each team could pick one leader, and that player would be gifted a strong helmet that symbolizes their power and provides extra protection. The players who were chosen as leaders would have a huge impact on the rest of the event, so the players of each team carefully considered their options. Over on the Grass Mountain Island, the Goodmen had already chosen their leader, Aircrusher. Aircrusher was chosen with absolutely no objections, so he was given the crown and was officially made the leader of the Goodmen.
The crown. I'm dripped out.
Aircrusher's main goal for the event was to keep peace with all the other teams. Most of the other leaders were also chosen easily, with Magnolia picking Nick as their leader and Team Chad choosing someone named Ace.
Yep, Magnolia.
Oh yeah.
Well, right now it's me, but I'm gonna hold an election because I want the best leader.
But there were two more groups of players that had formed during this time, the United Wilding Cultists, or UWC, and the Black Pearls. UWC chose a player named Wilding to be their leader, because Wilding had experience as a leader in a past event. The Black Pearls decided to stay leaderless for now, wanting to stay on their island and collect gear peacefully before the fighting would begin. Near the end of Phase 1 and leader elections, Wilding decided to lead the UWC across the ocean to explore some of the other islands. But unaware of their location on the map, the team swam straight into the grassy island of the Goodmen, who alerted Aircrusher of the arrival of the newcomers. But since PvP was still turned off and the Goodmen were still a peaceful nation, Wilding and Aircrusher, the two team leaders, decided not to fight and they went their separate ways. Now that all the teams had chosen a leader, the leader election phase came to an end and the players on every island got a surprise. Phase 2 was starting, and with Phase 2 came many things. Players immediately received a notification that a hunger event was beginning, and most teams rushed to their farms or animals to try not to starve. The Goodmen had found a few cows on their island at the beginning of the event, so they were able to cure themselves of the hunger using milk buckets.
Oh, hunger event started.
Done.
Drink your milk.
Drink your milk. Drink your
I don't
milk.
have milk. I don't have milk.
Not all teams were this fortunate though, and other teams like Magnolia had to hide underground and stay close to their farms to avoid starving.
Everyone just stay still and we shouldn't starve.
Everybody quickly realized that the hunger event was not meant to take any lives, it was just meant to prepare them for the next stage of the event. After 15 minutes, all players were relieved of their effects so they could finally leave their farms without the threat of starvation. Players on Magnolia came out of the hunger event feeling confident, so they decided to start construction on their island, starting to build a wall around the border of their island and creating some sort of building in the center. The Goodmen also had plans of construction.
Wait, we're just gonna build a little courthouse over here.
They started to build the outline for their town hall, but just as they started, something happened that nobody in the server had been expecting. Phase 3 had begun, meaning that all across the map, tropical storms had begun. This included things like tsunamis and tornadoes with the power to wipe out entire islands. Players from every team tried their best to rush underground before they were swept up into these deadly storms, but because they were in such a rush, they forgot to protect their most vital resource, their food. All across the map, players in their land were swept into the hurricanes and tornadoes, and their islands were ripped apart. The Goodmen tunneled underground to wait out the storms, as did Team Chad, Black Pearl, and UWC. Some players were left out in the storms with nowhere to go, so they had to do their best to survive. As the storms ended and players returned to the surface of their island, they spread out to figure out just how much had been destroyed by the disasters. Surprisingly though, only a few players had died from the disasters, and the islanders moved on from the destruction as if nothing had happened. After the disasters ended, the peaceful builders of Team Magnolia decided to venture back to the surface and expand their base. They worked more on the walls surrounding the island, and they also began to build a huge skybase in the center of their island, working together to build it. The players on Team Magnolia were hoping that the skybase would protect them from a potential enemy attack, because it would give them the high ground against their enemies.
We're just making a sky base just in case. For actual protection.
Meanwhile, the Black Pearls were getting bored of eating dried kelp for every meal, so they decided to do something about it.
Cmrn, they're gonna steal a cow. They're gonna steal a cow, Cmrn.
Yeah, we're gonna go steal a cow.
They decided to explore the rest of the map in search of an island with animals so they could steal one and bring it back to their island. The Black Pearls set off on their mission and ventured out into the claimed land of the other teams. They ended up finding the jungle island, which was now empty, but there were no animals, so they continued their search. Back at the beach island, Wilding and his team, the United Wilding Cultists, were still getting better gear and organizing their team. Wilding was aware of the threat of the Scythers, so he wanted to make his team as powerful as possible before the inevitable war broke out against the Scythers. Meanwhile, the infamous Scythers were traveling through the ocean, searching for the team that they knew would be the easiest to wipe out, Magnolia. As they approached the peaceful team's island, the players from Magnolia tried to alert the rest of their team, but they were quickly silenced by the invaders.
Okay, go.
Oh,
Wait, what's happening?
Oh crap! Go! Run! We're getting attacked!
Hey, I'm peaceful, please
Oh.
don't, I'm just peaceful.
Oh.
We're dying, we're getting rushed.
The Scythers worked their way through the rest of the island, killing everyone they could find who wasn't a fellow Scyther. As players from Magnolia were being killed left and right, the remaining peaceful players made their way up the unfinished skybase and prepared to make their last stand against the Scythers.
Get up, block it off. Guys, I need food. I need food desperately. I'm at 2.5 hunger bars, and I need to fight.
They fought the best they could, but after a long battle, the Scythers managed to climb up the skybase walls and eliminate the majority of Magnolia. The players that weren't killed swam away from the island, hoping they could seek refuge in another team. The Scythers didn't want to stop at Magnolia though, and they left the island as fast as they arrived. They made their way to an island near the Goodman's Island, which raised suspicion among the seemingly peaceful group.
Hey, I got bad news! Sire Air! Some people were trying to kill the Goodman team. They're on that beach, they're on that grass island over there, or whatever.
Is it the Cyphers?
I don't know, but there was this guy named Garbage at Axe PvP, and he said
Aircrusher and his team went to investigate the situation, and they realized that the intruding player was a scout from the Scythers. The Goodmen knew about the Scythers' actions, so they chased him off before another attack could be launched on their own island.
You need to unite against the Scythers.
Aircrusher, the leader of the Goodmen, was beginning to realize the threat that the Scythers posed to the rest of the teams. Team Chad, UWC, the Black Pearls, and a few random players were still scattered across the map, unaware of the deadly team patrolling the map. Aircrusher decided to speak to Wilding, the leader of Team UWZ, and discuss peace.
What I suggested was, we both seem to have good loot, good islands. I was thinking, what if we combined it fully? I know we have an alliance, but
After lots of discussion, they agreed to join forces, so UWC and the Goodmen would now be considered one team, the Goodman Alliance. This meant double the leadership, double the strength, and double the player count, so the two leaders figured this was the best option for the teams. Now that the Goodman Alliance was formed, Aircrusher and Wilding decided to rebuild their team back on Wilding's team's old island because the old Goodman Island had gotten utterly destroyed.
Some of you guys can come with me. I'm gonna go get my members. Do you guys want to move to our island, or do you guys want to? Because your island's kind of wrecked.
Actually,
yeah, your islands are kind of wrecked.
Our islands.
The Goodmen made their way over to the new island and began rebuilding their town hall, only stopping when Wilding created an enchantment table.
One person at a time. If I call your name, no, get away, get away.
The Goodman Alliance ran into an issue. They had over 50 players on their team, so it was hard for just Aircrusher and Wilding to organize the entire team.
It's hard to organize like a group of like so many people with no usernames.
Because of this, the process of getting everyone enchanted gear was extremely chaotic. Players swarmed the enchantment table, but Wilding used his skills as leader to take control of the situation. Now, the remaining teams on the server were Team Chad, the Black Pearls, the Scythers, and the Goodman Alliance. Everyone on the server wanted peace though, other than the Scythers, so that meant everyone had a common enemy. Because of this, players from all of the remaining teams began joining with the Goodman Alliance, wanting to join them in their invasion of the Scythers so that everybody could live in peace.
So we're peaceful. We're willing to do anything to get rid of our comrades.
Soon enough, the majority of Team Chad and the Black Pearls had joined up with the Goodman Alliance, and everyone had a common goal: kill the Scythers. Eventually, Wilding figured out the location of the dangerous Scythers and decided to arrange a search party to explore the Scythers' new land.
We need some people to go over there and scout out and see what the issue is over there. Who wants to volunteer to go over there and check it out?
Me.
The search party traveled across a stretch of ocean towards where the Scythers were camped out and scouted out the land to figure out how many Scythers there were.
Hello, guys. Hi, guys. No. We come in peace. We come in peace.
Once this information was obtained, the search party fled back to Wilding to spread the news.
Go back.
Wilding took this threat seriously, and he worked with Aircrusher to send the entire fleet of Goodman players to invade the Scythers. As the Goodmen approached the Scythers Island, they saw the oncoming army and fled, knowing they couldn't keep up with the large amounts of heavily geared players. The Goodmen arrived at the island that the Scythers had just left, and eventually realized that the Scythers had fled. They stayed on their trail and followed them over to the next island. The Goodmen caught the Scythers off guard and managed to kill a few before the rest escaped and fled to the ocean to regroup. One player from the Scythers wanted to talk to me though, and he had a very disturbing message.
Cameron, you know how many people can be taken out by a TNT minecart? 10.
The entire server was trying to hunt down the Scythers at this point, and with 20 minutes remaining in the final stage of the event, they decided to focus all efforts towards the search. They chased the Scyther players down one by one, eliminating them as fast as they could. By the end, only one player remained: Music. There were around 70 players left, and most of them were chasing him down and trying to end the event with all the players peacefully. Music evaded his hunters for an impressive amount of time, hiding underground and swimming around the entire map, but he was eventually caught and ended.
Yes! GG!
Now that the Scythers were all killed, everybody in the event was peaceful and surviving together in the Goodman Alliance.
This is a victory! Bro, let's go! W's!
And now, as the countdown for Phase 3 came to an end, the event ended with every single player on the map living together peacefully.